Welcome back to another video. It's been at least a week since we've had a Wingbits update, but all kidding aside, it's been a little bit since we've had a Wingbits update or some news going on, and there are several things that's happened in the last 2 or 3 days alone that I thought we need to go over. Some very big announcements that have been made, and some quotes from kind of the outside industry, outside of that project, that I thought were kind of relevant that I wanted to share also. Also some fundraising that they did that has been extremely successful that I was just notified about, and I thought we need to go over it. Also some updates on shipping and stuff like that in case you missed my last video. So I'm trying to get to delve into all that without making this video too long. So I am the Grumpy Dad. Welcome back for those who have come back, and for anybody who's new, welcome. As I try to be a channel that brings it as real as possible, and I call it like I see it. If I see something negative, I'll call it, and some projects don't like that, and I'm kind of dealing with the ramifications like that right now with some people in one project, but it is what it is. But not this project. Of all my projects that I am in, whether they're mainnet or testnet, Wingbits has got to be my number one that I am the biggest fan of and looking forward to the most as far as when it goes to some type of mainnet. If y'all catch my videos on Mondays, I go through all the videos I'm currently in, which is probably about 10 or 12 of them, if not more. And we discuss all the news and what's going on. But I tell everybody, even on that one, Wingbits is probably my number one project that I am in right now, that I am the most excited about, and hoping they go to mainnet soon. So let's get started on what's going on with them. And also, if you support Wingbits or these passive income projects like that, please, again, I know I say it every video like every other YouTuber, hit that like button, because when people are looking for ADS-B projects, scanning for aircraft or Wingbits in general, they will, but you liking it helps the algorithm push this video to those people who can hopefully learn from this video that Wingbits is an option. So instead of doing a flight aware station or one of these other ADS-B projects that don't pay them anything for all the trouble they got to go through and the expenses they have to pay for a station, they learn about Wingbits, that Wingbits will pay you for setting that data up in that station. So hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you know when some of these very time-sensitive videos are coming out. So starting off, we're going to kind of split this into two different things. There's basically two separate stations that you can have now for Wingbits, for those, again, who might be new and not familiar with everything. At first, when they first started, I have been in Wingbits now for maybe 19, 20 months. And it was all bring your own device. You could take, whether you took some type of helium, older helium device like this, or a, Raspberry Pi, potato, sweet potato, something like that, and converted it and put like a DePIN or something like that, or Raspberry or whatever it's called now. And you can load their program on it, stick an antenna on it. If you had a good setup, it rewarded quite well. It's still in beta, so those rewards just kind of went to a DevNet while on Solana. Then at some point, Wingbits then signed up with Hyfix to create more professionally made stations that were almost like you could almost say to a standard, so that they could all kind of be similar. They have a Wingbits only station and a Wingbits /GeoNet station that GeoNet they partnered with. This came from feedback from potential or from customers. And again, this came from feedback from their potential customers. And I don't know if they just wanted like a same kind of standard. They wanted to be bring your own device. So Wingbits set a limit of 2,000 devices of bring your own device. That got filled last August, I believe, August, September. That's when it got announced. Maybe around October is when it actually filled up. And then they worked with Wingbits worked with Hyfix, kind of told them what they were looking for, and Hyfix came up and manufactured their own devices. Again, I have a lot of videos about Wingbits. If you check my YouTube page, there's a playlist strictly for all the Wingbits stuff. Part of that was going back to the self devices, self-owned devices, bring your own devices, was also what's called a Geosigner. And we have signed up for those people like me who have BYOD stations. We have been waiting for those Geosigners to come in, and we finally found out last week that they were shipping out. And I put a video out that everybody should be having their shipping labels or their shipping numbers emailed to you. I know all of my stations and my family member stations and my friend stations and stuff like that, we all have now shipping tracking numbers, and those items are now on their way. So that's my first update. Is I know last time we had a video that I think we talked about how there was a little bit of delay, or they were just about to be shipped out. Now I can confirm that they are being shipped out, and you can see, at least for me, tracking labels that I was sent on those devices. Now, the first big thing that I need everybody to know is, even though you might be receiving it any day now, do not install this until after February 1st. That's the first big thing. After February 1st. If you need to install it prior to that date for some reason, please ensure you can easily still access your station physically if needed. So if it's that important to be able to reach your station, why even install it right now? I'm going to tell you, I'll be honest with you. I have 2 or 3 devices that are offline right now. They just recently went offline at different host locations. One of them is an hour and a half from my house. The other one's an hour away from my house, of course, in a different direction. I'm not even bothered. I'm not going to them because there's no reason for me to go to those right now, get them back online, and then all of a sudden have to go and install these Geosigners at some point. So I'm holding off, and they're asking you to hold off. Also, you have until March 17th. Originally, they were talking about doing 90 days. Then they went down to like 30 days. I suggested 45 days. They said that they were talking about that also. And apparently that's what they went with, 45 days from February 1st. Now, if you get it this week, you get actually longer than 45 days to install it. But one thing as we know is that mainnet is waiting, and TGE is waiting for these devices to be installed. And we know that there are people probably gaming. Not that I would ever want to accuse anybody of that, but we know there's people probably gaming, and they won't go to mainnet until they know these Geosigners are set up so that they can get rid of any kind of gamers and give back rewards that were taken from us from anybody who is doing some type of gaming. So we need to get these devices installed ASAP. But you do have until March 17th to get these devices installed. All stations updated to the latest version will begin using the Geosigner automatically starting February 1st. While transition should be seamless, having access to your device remotely or physically is always a good idea in case any trouble arises. In other words, in case you got to do a power cycle, which happens occasionally. All my devices run a cron job where it automatically reboots every 4 days if there's never any problems. But if it's a troublesome station, I have it reboot every 24 hours. And it seems to keep all my troubles at bay. So you don't need to be that worried if you have a station that has the latest update or not. Majority of the stations have. This was about 6-7 months ago, maybe. It might have been the end of last year. But there's a big update where they started doing a script for auto updates, and we had to update all of our devices. That's basically the only big update they've had. So if you haven't did that for some reason, you might have to go online and get the script and run an update. But for majority of us, you don't have to worry about it. It's already, done. There are a small number of stations that have the alpha version script that has never been updated. These stations will not be able to push data or earn rewards after the end of February. I'm going to tell you, I have not looked at the general page yet, but I guarantee you're going to have all kinds of people asking, how do I know if I have the correct version or not? To clarify, this cutoff only affects stations that haven't been updated since alpha and very early beta. If your station's up to date, you're good to go. So basically what this boils down to is this. Your Geosigner's coming in. Do not install it until after February 1st. By February 1st, there'll be some kind of update that they automatically push out that your device will automatically update. Once February 1st comes, sometime between February 1st and March 17th, you plug your Geosigner in and you get it installed. So that's Geosigners. When I get one in, I'll have a little unboxing, if you call it that, for how small it's supposed to be, and I will, do a little video on everything that it's needed. I'll also show you all how to make sure that your device is up to date. Next, real briefly, I'm just going to go over this. I did a video last week on it. A lot of people are waiting for the WB200. That's the Wingbits only device, and the MGW310, which is the Wingbits / GeoNet station. They found an issue while doing some testing on it. I know some people are heartbroken over this. Y'all know me, I'm the most positive person in the world, so I'm gonna try to spin this as positive as possible. But I'm gonna say I'd much rather them find out about this RF noise issue now than people getting these stations in and then complaining of very poor results compared to because I could see it now. The Marcel built station got way more rewards than what this professional station that was built. So I'm glad that they found this issue, because the RF noise will do a wonder on blocking these ADS-B, especially these weak ADS-B signals, because you're going to have so much RF noise in that receiver. It's going to be overcome with noise, which is going to block the actual ADS-B signal coming in from airplanes. So this is a good thing that they caught this now. They're now also upgrading our LNAs, which is the amplifier inside of it. And what the LNA is, it's basically a low noise amplifier. So, those weak signals that are 400 miles out there, you hope you can pull those in. It amplifies, that stuff. With them upgrading this to a more expensive model, you hope it can really pull out those weaker signals, which should be a vast improvement, because from what I'm reading and what I know about this, these are high-end, like this announcement says, LNAs, which cost a pretty penny. Hyfix is eating the cost on that. So that's one thing you don't have to worry about. They knew this was going to be delayed. Chinese New Year, they get 2 weeks off of work for New Year's. I got 2 days. I'm not even just got 1 day. But yes, they're getting, because of the Chinese holiday, that's now pushing it back an additional 2 weeks, which is now shipping is expected to begin end of February. Please read that slowly. Shipping is expected to begin end of February. If it takes a week to come from overseas or where this might be coming from, we could start seeing March. Okay, so hold on to that 1 second. I'm going to hit that in a second. Reserved hexes. If you have reserved hex, don't worry about it. You're going to get an automatic renewal for 60 days if you don't have your device in by then. So somebody in the general Discord shared this email that they received, and they got this today, and it says, it's from Hyfix in reference to your GeoNet's Wingbits device. Thank you for your support. Your station, the WB200 or the MGW310 is delayed until March 25. So it looks like, maybe the shipping end of February takes a week to get to you. Well, now you're into March. So that is a month and a half away. Not too far, but I know some people want this thing now. But again, I'm going to say this again. I'd much rather than find out about these issues now versus, I don't want to throw no other projects under the bus while I'm talking about this project, but we've seen a certain weather station that seems to constantly be needing reboots and resets, and you got to take half of the darn thing apart, and we don't want to see that. So I'm glad to see that they kind of caught this now. So what's some of the big news that just got released today that we're seeing, across the internet? One thing is from CoinDesk, Aviation DePIN Network's Wingbits raises $5.6 million for decentralized flight tracking. Ladies and gentlemen, now this is in addition to something else that they already had gotten as far as fundraising from another group. DePIN startup Wingbits has raised $5.6 million in funding. This investment round was led by Borderless Capital in bullish capital, Wingbits aims to offer reward-based flight tracking using cryptographically secured ADS-B receivers. This is what I was talking about earlier, where the industry, potential customers, are wanting certain things with our BYOD stations. And one thing was this cryptographically secure, because that Geosigner is a cryptographically secure board where, yes, it's going to show GPS on where your device is, but it's also going to make sure that it matches your devices plugged into, that you can't flip-flop them. Wingbits is a decentralized physical and DePIN startup focused on the industry. Model using hardware secured by decentralized network. Investment rounds, which takes Wingbits' total backing. So this is their total fundraising amounts right now, $9.2 million. So you go look at what some of these other projects are doing that's supposed to be very big, and it's some of them are less than half of this, if not more than less than half, if that makes sense. Wingbits aims to offer flight tracking. Flight tracking has relied on a global network of volunteers who install home antennas to collect flight data. Companies sell this data to airports, airlines, and other organizations to support their global operations, generating hundreds of millions in revenue while the volunteers don't receive anything. So hold that thought. Now, this right here is from CoinDesk. So here's another article where Wingbits announces that 5.6 million revolutionized rewards, but Wingbits are definitely used. They are tracked to be the largest airplane tracking network on Earth, thanks to well-designed incentives and execution. The latest fund comes just 6 months after Wingbits had 3.5 million seed round backed by leading investors Borderless Capital, Tribe Capital, and Antler. Since then, the startup founded by Robin and Alex have achieved rapid growth, expanding its network 6 times faster than any other flight tracking software. Right here this isn't from Wingbits saying this. This is from the CEO of Bullish Capital, where he's going to say the excited partner with Wingbits, who in less than 18 months have already begun to disrupt a flight tracking industry, which with a huge proven demand by leveraging the blockchain technology to incentivize the supply of high quality, low latency data. Again, this is a CEO of another company talking about Wingbits. They are disrupting this flight tracking industry. First year, Wingbits has scaled to 2,100 active stations, tracking 120,000 in 85 countries. Additionally, there are 2,000 pre-orders. So somebody asked us the other day, how many pre-orders does Wingbits have on their new stations? Over 2,000 pre-orders for this. So you're going to have 4,100 stations. And what I like about Wingbits, and one of the things that drew me to them, is this isn't going to be like Helium, where people can go stack literally 20 devices in a single hex. When my not the reward hex, which is this big, but when my owner hex, which is a Res 6, is filled, because I put a station there, nobody else can put one in there. So hopefully it should control to a point how many stations are put out there. I believe Wingbits has a strong chance to become a leader in the market compared to many other DePIN projects. Based on my research, they are one of the most unique supply side dynamics tapped into the hundreds of thousands of existing flight tracking enthusiasts around the world. Balanced strength in both demand and supply is critical for success of DePIN projects. So I'll try to go ahead. I don't want to read this thing, word for word, but there's some important points I need to bring out on this, because you've all heard the same rhetoric from people who don't know better. Some of my fellow YouTubers, some of the critics, certain critic from another project that failed, and who said Wingbits is not going to be usable, and why would anybody want to spend money on Wingbits when they can get this stuff for free? And I have argued over and over on Twitter, on those people's YouTube's lives, and in my own videos, I've said these people who are like, it says right here, companies like flight tracking is a cornerstone of a $6 trillion aviation industry. It has long relied on global network of volunteers who install home antennas to collect flight data. Companies like Flight Radar 24, Flight Aware sell this to airports. Please read that again. Companies like Flight Radar 24 and Flight Aware sell this data to airports, airlines, and other organizations. So everybody out there saying there's no way Wingbits is going to work because these companies are getting this stuff for free. And I have argued they're not getting it for free. Yes, you can go download FlightAware on your phone and check out where your mom's flight is. But companies that want to ingress all that data, they're paying for it. And then the people who set up those stations to give FlightAware or Flight Radar 24 or any of these other ADS-B stations, they're not getting compensated. Those volunteers aren't getting anything. That's where the idea of Wingbits came in, is let's compensate the people. We're going to make money off this. Let's compensate those volunteers who are producing this data. I'll also say is that in one video, it was already announced that by Robin that they already have paying customers. Right now, until they can get these other new stations online, right now they are providing a secondary data stream into these customers, where these customers are already getting their ADS-B data and whatever they need from a primary supplier, and they are providing the Wingbits data as a secondary model or secondary input, secondary source. They also have stated that Wingbits has way better station setup and redundancy because of the amount of devices that are scattered around the United States, around the world, in different countries. Look at Europe, UK, that whole side of the pond, as I call it over there, way more stations. And they like that redundancy. So you already have paying customers in addition to this is going to provide a better data feed to those people, and they're already paying for this. Joe Blow company or whatever it is, they're already paying FlightAware and stuff. And I've tried to tell people this, and this backs that up. So with that, I didn't want to make this video too long. I don't want to beat this dead horse, but I think y'all got the idea of with Wingbits, despite what some people say, there is a need for it. There is a need for the project. And like I said, like they said, instead of having volunteers who provide this ADS-B data and stuff to these free projects like FlightAware and stuff like that, you have two gentlemen who've created Wingbits because they felt that there was a need for that DePIN or that ADS-B information. And hey, we need to compensate the people who are providing that. It also makes it a more surer model, as I call it. People who are getting paid free might not have the incentive to keep that station up 24/7 in case it's having issues. Me getting compensated for it, I tend to have a little more of a oomph, to go and get that set up. So I think having this money as a fundraiser, I want to find out. I really like to find out what is exactly going to be used for. Is it going to be made for overhead? Is it going to be made to give Hyfix a deposit maybe on stations to build more stations or something like that? If that's how that works, I am curious. But like I said, they have now $9 million that they have raised with fundraising. And like I said, and that can be used towards liquidity going into a CEX, maybe the exchange fees. Also, the idea is if they are lacking coverage in a certain part of the world, especially if it's a very big gap. I know, Daniel and a couple of people have did some stations in Africa, and while they're getting some great awards because some of them are the only station around, some of them have stations that, I know somebody with a single station that gets more rewards from one station than I do with 17. But my point is, if they know that there's a certain area of the globe that's severely lacking coverage, maybe using this money to either work some type of deal out, host type deal or something like that, just to get a station there where somebody covers the cost of the device, somebody covers the installation, however they split the rewards. I wouldn't know anything about that. I'm just kind of throwing that idea out there. That's something that they can do with that fundraising money is you take that money to get stations, these Hyfix professional stations, into areas that severely lack coverage that might be hurting them with potential customers. It could also be used for refining tokenomics and basically also just day-to-day operations when they're not like fully operational yet and they need money to operate a business. So that money can be used for all that. We're hoping to get Geosigners. The only thing I can ask is if you have a Geosigner coming in, get that thing installed ASAP. So in closing, I'm sorry it took this long for this video, but hopefully I can put some chapters into it. Hopefully y'all get something out of it in whatever sections y'all need to get that information. I'm, again, a very big supporter of Wingbits. I also run GeoNet. It's one of probably my second highest profitable mining project right now. If you catch my Monday videos, I do discuss each one of the projects I'm in, what they're currently making, and what's going on with the testnet ones. Again, Wingbits is waiting for those Geosigners to get released. The quicker we can get those in after February 1st, do not install it before February 1st. After February 1st, you can install it, and the quicker you get all those installed, they can start going through that data, combing through it, seeing who might be gaming or not, is the sooner we can go to mainnet, which a lot is waiting for. Again, I am a huge supporter of Wingbits. You can see that on the Grumpy Dad hat I have here. It has Wingbits on it. And I'm also passionately known as the godfather of the Gulf, because when you look at my station coverage, I encompass the entire Gulf of Mexico. I have stations from Texas literally to Florida, all the way north to Idaho. I have one in Missouri I'm having issues with the host. He was all gung-ho for it at his rental house, and then now he just called and told me 2 days ago he's selling it. So I'm currently working out a deal with a guy in Mississippi. And then when I get my device from the guy in Missouri, I'm working out a deal, pretty much a done deal, in Chugwater, Wyoming. Now, I had no idea where Chugwater, Wyoming is, but I wanted to just come in here, just say how I'm spreading out all over the place. I had somebody who contacted me and said they lived in Chugwater, which is this very, very small town. I thought it was a joke at first. And he gave me his address, and he lives in Chugwater, Wyoming, which I think is just this cool name for some reason. So Grumpy will be in Wyoming soon, which will increase my coverage across the United States and help fill in some gaps. Because as you see, they have some stations down here, but that's it. To the north of here, east and west is wide open. So I'll be getting some hexes all by myself. So I'm pretty hyped up about Chugwater. But if anybody knows anybody in the Midwest, Missouri area, Kentucky, no, not really Tennessee, kind of north of that, Ohio, maybe even Nebraska, I'd like to try to have some blanket coverage across the whole United States. Contact me. I'll be willing to work out a very good deal with you. Some people have said my deals are absolutely stupid, but I'm more about showing coverage and getting coverage into areas that do not currently have it. Listen, Wingbits still has some areas in the United States that has no coverage. The way to make this project successful is they need coverage basically everywhere. So if you have access to some kind of land or a house or something, when you go to that Wingbits website, and I have other videos, I'm not going to take the time to do that on this video here, but you can go on their website and see where they need coverage at. You fill that in. That's only going to help the project. Also, if you go into an area that has no Wingbit station, and when you click on hexes and there's nobody covering those hexes, that is ripe for you. You can make more with 1 or 2 stations in that area that I'm making with 14 stations, because in my other videos, I have clicked on those stations and showed people what they're making. So that's all there for you. If you go to Hyfix.ai or Helium Deploy, you can find the WB200 or the MGW310 Wingbit / GeoMiner and read all about it. If you use Grumpy Dad 56 at Hyfix.ai or on Helium Deploy with the Wingbits only station, you will get 10% off. 10% doesn't sound alike until you do the math on what these devices cost. So again, March will be here before we know it. We'll get this stuff set up and hopefully start making some good passive income. So I appreciate everybody who's followed along. Please make sure you do me a favor and like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and I'll catch you all in the next video.